Hi, everyone, and welcome to the episode 9 of the Get Hitched live chat wedding chat show. So my name is Alberta. Today we have a special guest, Pawlu Borg Bonaci from Elia Caterers. He's going to be talking with us about catering for events and weddings in Malta and Gozo. My co-host for the day as well is going to be Ben Vincenti. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm just going to invite them in.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Hello. Okay.
Good, thank you. You?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. How's
Good. What's
Alberta?
that?
Hmm?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. How are you, Paul?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
Yes,
Quite busy, you know. But we're doing well. Summer is here, so we have more energy and more power.
and longer days.
Yeah.
Very good. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show with us today. First off, I'd like to ask you if you could introduce yourself for our viewers so they can understand who you are, your background, where you come from, and they can understand the whole picture.
Okay. So I am Pawlu Borg Bonaci. I am one of the directors of Elia Caterers, Elia Borg Bonaci Limited. Um, People might know me from my music and acting career, but I'm also my life is split in different sectors. This is my daily job. It's a job that's been I've been in the business because it's a family business. My grandfather Elia started the business quite a long time ago. In 1953, five of his sons took over the business. And I'd like to take the opportunity, on a side note, because last week we lost one of our founding members of the family, my uncle Elia, son of Elia. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank everyone, all our clients, our families, our friends who've been really supportive. And they paid their tributes to my uncle, who was a very hardworking man. He was one of the pillars of the company. But I'm sure he'll be happy to see us continuing on his footsteps and his brother's footsteps. He was a great man. He will be surely missed. I'd like to pay also my tribute. And this is the first time I'm talking in public after his passing away. So this is a special moment for us as well. Um,
Condolences, Paul,
Thank
to
you
you
very
and to
much.
all the family, of course.
Thank you very much. Elia Caterers, Elia Limited has four different brands, which is Elia Caterers, Elia Cafe. It's a coffee shop in High Street, Hamroon. We also have two venues conjoined together, which is Giardini Lambrosa and Veranda at Giardini Lambrosa. So those are the four brands that we have. The business obviously is about catering. We're the family. When you say Borg Bonaci, two things come in mind: it's entertainment and catering. At our company at Elia, I would like to join put all these things together because we believe that catering, that the food is an integral part of our culture and our entertaining culture. So we don't
Yeah.
only talk about catering; we talk about experiences. Um, uh, I started off in the business as a cake decorator. I followed my father's footsteps. My father is the eldest from the five brothers, but he has elder brothers. Then I started taking over the sales and marketing department. So now I'm in the sales and marketing department. I still do outside catering as well. I'm always present. We're always present in our venues, in our events. So where there's a big event like weddings, corporate, there's always a family member. We're quite a big family. So we have manpower to spare. Um, Men and women power to spare. So, um,
Very good.
so that's I don't know how sure that was, but that's an introduction.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. So basically, you are the face that everyone comes and meets with when they're looking to plan their wedding or particular event.
I am one of the faces.
Okay.
Actually my mentor in this sector is my uncle Gato. He is he's the person that all our clients, especially the wedding clients, have built a long relationship with him and a steady relationship. My uncle is very loved by our clients. He's the type of person that when people touch point with him, they will fall in love with the brand because uh, I don't want to sweep the carpet from under his feet because he was the face of the sales department and he still is. Even though right now he cannot come to the office due to the COVID situation because of his age, but he's
Okay.
still very looked up. People still call him to ask him. Slowly. I am one of the faces, the new faces that is taking over the situation. But it's not only me. We have a big sales team. We are in five as a sales team.
Okay, very good, very good. So to take it into the topic for everyone for today, mainly we wanted to discuss with you, Paul, the catering business for weddings and events in Malta and Gozo. Now I know weddings is a very big part of Elia Catering, but I don't know if you want to explain all the different parts, like with corporate events, events, personal events for people.
Okay. So with regards catering, like you stated, it's very vast. So we can go from personal small parties at home, deliveries without service, or including service, meaning with waiters or without waiters. So if someone wants to prepare a party at home or do a party at home, we can offer the catering service, and then we can span up to having corporate events like launches, product launches, staff parties. The corporate sector is very vast. Conferences, in-house and not in-house, and outside catering, because we have our venue, which is a multifunctional venue that also caters for corporate events um, uh, corporate parties like Christmas parties, like launches and stuff like that as well. Also at Veranda, we also cater for these types of corporate events. And obviously, we have also the weddings, both in Malta Gozo, and weddings can vary. Weddings can vary from small weddings. We had weddings that were just like 10 people weddings, which are very detailed. People tend to go into detail when it's a small foreign wedding, especially, even local small weddings. And we can go to big weddings. When I say big, it's 800, 1,000. We have also clients from everywhere, so that is our forte. The thing is that being a family business, and the business, even though that it might look like a big business, we still consider ourselves as being a small business, and that having that advantage keeps you closer to your customers, being both corporate, even personal events. Being close to your customers also means that you have a close relationship and you're listening to what they want, and you can cater and go around their wishes, and also customize a lot of. We have a lot of customization.
Cool. Paolo, something that I wanted to ask you last time when you actually gave me the tour of the of where you operate, which I love, by the way. So thanks for that, and
and
thanks
and
for the
he
sweets.
and he tasted the chocolate.
Yes, and I taste chocolate. Um,
Really?
yeah. So two questions. One is, how did, if you could, out of my interest and maybe for the viewers as well, how did you go from, the first operation when the founders of Elia started operating, maybe just creating the small foods from the store, all this, to events? Was that like a big change where you went to all type of events, or did you go from that small shop to more shops, to then weddings, then to corporate? What was the journey like?
So as far as I know, my grandfather started obviously with a small business. So he opened a small cafe in High Street Hamrun, which was further down where our cafe stands today.
Ah, so it's not
Um,
the same building. It was
no,
a
no,
different. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and it was with his brother.
Right.
So and then he decided at a later stage to open his own business. And obviously, he started with the cafe. So the cafe is close to our heart because it was our first business, our core business. Then obviously, like many other businesses and caterers, I think this happened everywhere with every brand. And people started asking to have small parties or parties at home, and why not even weddings? And weddings were very different at the time. In fact, we still have records of old weddings, and when you see them, it's I mean, they started the wedding with ice cream, then they just had ice cream and fingers, these sponge fingers, and then they
Oh, okay.
continued with pastries. But I mean, really, it was something really small and modest. um, and some of these clients we still cater for their nephews and nieces, and our business has been there with families. In fact, most of our clients are generations. We have generations of the
Right.
same families that then the business obviously started growing. Then, when my uncle's grandfather took over, obviously the growth started to happen. It was natural. I mean, because when you have five persons working together and eager to grow a
Yeah.
business, then the idea started pouring in. Like for example, they introduced chocolate, Belgian
Hmm.
chocolate, where we were one of the first pioneers to introduce the use of couverture chocolate, Belgian chocolate in Malta, for example. And we also had a small product line doing this coconut chocolate. Very few people remember this.
Right.
Um, but they had so much energy that the business obviously started to flourish. Then when we started doing weddings, and weddings obviously started getting bigger, because let's not forget that wedding is a social status event. So
Hmm.
in Malta, when the economy started changing, obviously people wanted to make an impact and also show.
Right.
Weddings started getting bigger,
Hmm.
and by time, and like any other natural thing, things start growing. Parties have been always being part of the philosophy. So people wanting to have a small party at home, like communions, birthdays,
Right.
confirmations, baptism. They always come, especially obviously it was more local. I mean, the people of Hamrun, Birkirkar, and the surroundings,
Hmm.
but also being that our brand was quite always spread, we had clients even from our records, and my uncles will tell you that
Hmm.
we have clients coming from Elia, for example, and Slema, St.
Right.
Julian's, and those were very close to us, and they still are. By time, the company started obviously growing, and then a few years ago, about 3 to 2 years ago, no, actually 4 years ago, we took over Giardini Lambrosa, which was
Yeah.
our second venue.
Yeah.
Before that, we had the Palms in St. Julian's. We used to cater, we were the exclusive caterers at the Palm St. Julian's for about 15 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
When we gave up the Palm St. Julian's, obviously we started looking at Giardini Lambrosa, and that
Hmm.
also gave us a new kick. It came parallel with the time when our company was passing through the succession planning from second to third generation.
Okay.
It was quite an exciting time. It was a big headache. Why? Because we knew that it's not just us. I mean, business science will tell you that only tenth of third generation businesses makes it through and is successful. In fact, And when we started growing and when we took over, we saw that we needed to make even a change in the management and even in the way the company is structured. So
Hmm.
when the third generation, us, I'm one of the third generations.
Hmm.
Um, when we took over, when we started, we implemented different ideas. We introduced people outside of the family to be part of the management team.
Right.
I think that is a question that we will discuss later as well. So I don't want to. Um,
Yeah.
but that change to go to your question, I think you saw the bakery. If you had to come to the bakery 4 years ago, it was quite different because what happened? Um, Someone had an idea. Why don't we buy a packing machine, for example? Okay, let's put it
Hmm.
in this room, and we started. Then at a point, we realized that we were being inefficient because some of the things were scattered here, there, and there. So the first thing that we implemented to keep growing is that we had to make changes in the operation. So we put
Right.
the first floor is just pastry, then we have the kitchen area. There's packing on one side, and because we did that, obviously, this restructuring helped us to also keep growing.
Right.
And the corporate business was always there, but that was one of my first tasks as part of the sales team to also grow the corporate because we have
Right.
potential in the corporate, and that was one of my first tasks as a salesperson here.
Cool. I actually, when you were mentioning of the venue, another question that I had was, what were the challenges? Because anything we're doing is going to be a challenge, right? But what were the challenges for you as a business going from a caterer to now operating venues and multiple venues? Because there are two, right? So did you see the change where it's different? It's very different being a driver of a car and a mechanic, or just a driver of a car and a taxi driver, right? So you now kind of control the whole supply chain of the catering and the venue. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Okay, I think this came about 20 years ago or more because the puns we had it quite for a long time.
Right.
And I think at that time, the challenge, one of the biggest challenge, is not just operating your venue, because
Hmm.
yes, so in my case, I having Giardini Lambrosa we were already trained to run our own venue.
Right.
I think the biggest challenge is that you have to keep constant on the product and service, both in inside catering and outside catering. I think that is the biggest headache.
Right. Okay.
You cannot afford to have a service and a good product in-house and
Hmm.
not having the same service in venues that you cannot control. So
Right.
our biggest investment and our biggest challenge wasn't actually to keep running your own venue. Obviously, you have costs in your own venue. You have maintenance. You have management. You have
Hmm.
many challenges, but they're not challenges that you cannot get over. They're not a showstopper. I think the showstopper would have been if the same service we would have created a big dissonance, if the service that we offer at one place is not offered even in other
Right.
places, because the brand would suffer if that. Because I think one of the problems that you can face with catering, and I've seen this happen, not with our brand, luckily enough, is that you become in what's the word? You create a difference that you are not constant. When you are not constant, people will start questioning. Listen, there's this and why this. So yes, I think to answer your question, the biggest challenge is to keep this this
Consistency.
consistency. That's the word I'm trying to.
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
it's key with any business that is an operation with food, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a supplier doing outside catering or in-house catering or whatever. For the product to be good, it needs to be at the same level each different time over a large period of time.
exactly. In fact, even when we're designing our menus, when we come up with a new product, We don't only test it in our venue, we test it also in other venues. And for example, we introduced the beef ribeye. We cook the ribeye, a grilled ribeye on a skewer, um, minutes before serving, so we don't preheat or
Amazing.
or regenerate. So so what we did is we bought portable grills to go in other kitchens. So we serve ribeye.
You caught me at ribeye grilled. It sounds amazing. Paul, I do want to mention because I do have a watch party running, and we actually have a few comments here, but I can't show them on the screen for you.
Okay, no problem.
But
Sorry for the water.
basically, don't worry. We have Jonathan at Azzopardi Frantz, who did
Hello,
actually say
Jonathan.
our deepest condolences
Thank you.
for your uncle. He was well loved and will surely be missed. So I don't know if you
Thanks.
can see
Thank
it,
you. Thank you.
but there it is.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And we also have another comment from Gail, where she says, "This is for when you invited Ben." I'm guessing. And she says, "Thank God Mela Ben came for the factory visit. If Jonathan came instead, you would be out of chocolate."
It's very difficult to run out of. We buy chocolate in tons. Then Ben saw it, in fact. Um, yes, we have the same problem with my sister visits. My sister is a chocoholic, so we lock the room.
Oh, really? Well, if you ever want to invite me, I'd be more than welcome
Yes, you're
to.
already invited.
Very good. I do want to go into now the first question because we've already gone around 20 minutes in. Basically, our
Wow.
first question for you was who is the target audience for Elia Caterers, which I think you've already
Yeah.
gone through with different, but
Yes.
maybe you want to clarify.
Like I said, we have different audiences and we cater for different audiences. And our philosophy is not to be generic because everyone has different demands. You cannot offer the same service for corporate for the corporate sector for the corporate clients as if you're serving the wedding and vice versa, or even at home. The training has to be different, the service needs to be different, the philosophy needs to be different, the food sometimes needs to be different. With corporate, you are more close to your client because they have a certain demand. With weddings, it's a dream wedding, it's a romantic thing. So the thing, even the handling, even the sales pitch needs to be different, the discussion, the time. Especially, I mean, when you're going into a corporate, it's fast. I mean, people email you for an event that's happening 3 days later, so you have to be fast, have to be active. Someone else is going to compete with you, and you have to be responsive, very responsive. Also, I think, but there is one. If I had to, even though we spearhead our audience, I mean, there is a different philosophy for every type of, even in weddings. I mean, our wedding customers, they're not all the same. Like you said, foreign weddings, they're different clients. People who want a small home family wedding, they're different than people who would like to make a statement.
Yes,
Because
and they want to have the 700-person
exactly.
big wedding.
Exactly. And for us, every client is important. We don't make, I mean, what we target is we want clients that are looking for quality. So if I had to generalize all and put, which is impossible to be honest, but if we had to say what kind of audience are we trying to capture, I would say that we're trying to capture people who want quality, and quality doesn't always necessarily means that you're paying a hefty price for that.
Yeah.
I mean, even though. But quality, the quality of food and service is key. So if I had to put everything in a nutshell and say what kind of audience are we looking for, we're looking for people who want to have a good experience and they are looking for quality.
Mhm.
Why? There's something that I always tell my customers, especially for example the weddings. I'll tell them this: your wedding or your event is our event too.
Mhm.
If our brand is showing in your event, being a corporate, being a wedding or a small party at home, Elia is going to be there. So
Right.
that is our wedding, that is our corporate event, that is our party. and
Yeah.
that is where we want to go.
Thanks, Paulo. And what is the typical? Because you mentioned like with corporate and weddings, excuse me, and I totally get it that the philosophy and maybe the journey of the customer is very different. So, if you take a wedding, would you say that it's typical that they would want to do a food tasting and they would want to see it in like the setting of an actual wedding, like you'd have an open day or this, versus a corporate client who's like, listen, just show me your menu. I've had Ali a million times before. I just want these items. Or is it the same with weddings where they say, listen, I know Eli, I trust you, I just want these items. How does it work? Do they come to you? Do they do food tasting? And how do you think this is going to change as well because of the current situation in terms of people maybe not being able to come to an open day or maybe not wanting to do so? And they're like, listen, let's just do everything virtually.
Okay, so
I
let
know
me.
there are many questions, but I think they're important
Right
questions.
now, my mind map is like going.
So it's
That's
just how my brain works. I'm like, ah.
that's
So,
typical Ben Vincenti for you, ladies and
exactly.
gentlemen. So, and he's having a trip.
Um,
Mala. Okay. Let's start with the wedding sector, with the wedding. Uh, yes, all customers are different. In fact, I always tell my clients that listen, even though we have 160 weddings a year or more, all the weddings are going to be different because at the end of the day, people have different demands and different wishes, especially not just the men, even women. I mean, when I know this by fact, men and women look at weddings in a different way. It's the dream of the bride to have this fairy wedding or this exclusive day for her. She's the center of the wedding, and not just her, even the couple. I mean, so yes, I mean, it's really obvious that we are going to be there to explain step by step. And yes, we have food tasting sessions. In fact, we used to organize. I say used because for now we had to stop. And yes, we do have a contingency plan to start, but we're exploring a little bit more. Sometimes we take a little bit too long to decide on something here at Elia. I mean, it's one of probably our defects, but we do that because we're really we're perfectionists. So yes, we're trying to see the best way how to adapt. But yes, every month we have food tasting sessions where clients are divided into three. There's those who have no idea who Elia Caterers are or are not experienced yet, and they come to see if they would like to engage with us in the future. There's those who are planning their wedding and they're most probably going to have Elia caterers, and they come for the food tasting session before confirming. And there are those who have already booked their weddings 3 years or 2 years in advance, and they come to taste our new products because it's once another question of yours whether they would trust you just because they have built trust throughout generations or because they have been your clients. Still, even me, when we have new products, and we have new products on every year. In fact, with every brochure that we have, like for this year's brochures, there's always a new menu with new products. So even us, we have to taste them. And our food tasting sessions, we don't just have our the clients and the guests tasting the food. What we are after is also feedback. So for us, having 30 couples tasting your food is a great opportunity to see how your future customers and your future market is looking at your product. So we give them handouts for us to score points if they like the taste, if it's too salty, too chili, or
sure.
whatever. If they like the presentation, if they like this. So for us, a tasting session doesn't only serve the purpose to have the customer tasting your product. No,
Understood.
it's keeping us closer to the customer. I think one of the things that we introduced about 3 years ago, not introduced, I think because introduced wouldn't be fair. I think we improved is the customer relationship. We are more close, we're getting closer to our customers. Our customers are the core value of Elia Caterers, of Elia Borg Bonaci Limited. So we put the customer in the center of every decision that we take. We build the company, we're building our products around the customers. And around their feedback. And this helps us a lot. And by helping us, we are helping them, because obviously the feedback that they give us, we pass it on to them. Building a menu around what the feedback was last year means that the feedback we are using is going to be an important asset when we are planning your wedding in the future. So that's about weddings. I mean, and yes, tasting sessions and even open days and fairs, and God willing, even the fair that we will probably have. Zip for now, I don't know if you will. But also, with regards to corporate, that's a whole different story. Like I said, every corporate client is a different client. There are those, like for example, DMCs, you have to build relationship with them. We're still building solid relationships, and it takes time. With DMCs, for example, it takes time, it takes trust. So it's a slow process, but we will get there bit by bit. We have already solidified some relationships with good DMCs, for example, and we're very pleased with that. It's hard work, but it's satisfactory. It doesn't always pay off, but it's something. Sometimes you don't only work to make money. We work for the money, but also you work for honor and for pride. And sometimes you have this challenge and you want to take it on, and then that challenge gives you results. And then there are corporate clients that, yes, I mean, they know their product, they trust you, they call you, they've tried and tested you. They just call, listen, I have 20 people coming in, I want a boardroom meeting, blah, 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 send me baguettes, send me this, I want that. Boom, the next day they call you, thank you very much. Why don't we add this next time? And you have feedback. So every client in the corporate sector is a total different client. And that is also something that you start loving. I mean, because I hate boredom. That is why I love
Yeah.
weddings. And I
Yeah.
hate routines.
So would you, as a word of advice to especially couples here, right, where it is their big day, as you're
Don't
mentioning,
get married. No, I'm joking.
there you have it, guys. Don't get married. If they are going to get married, though, would you recommend? So, would you recommend that? Listen, if you do want to book with Elia Caterers or whoever, really, come to our open day, come to the food tasting. Let's not just talk about making it just about the price on the menu, because you can have an item. You can have the same item across all caterers, but it's then down to the quality and the service delivery, right? So, what is your recommendation in that respect?
I think this boils down to handbook basic sales practices, especially when the service is intangible. When you are offering a service, I mean, if I'm selling cars, I would tell, this is the car, see what you like, what you don't like, tell me what you want to add on, and that's it. Have a ride, you tried it, you experienced it, and then you sell it. But when you are selling an experience, it could be a holiday, it could be a wedding, it could be an event. That's a total different story, because your customers cannot experience their product, because they will experience the product on the day of purchase. So in that case, you have to work really hard to establish a relationship. And that is what we do here. You mentioned price. Price, in my case, is the last thing we discuss. What I first want to know, and what I first tell my customers to explain, and is what's in their head, what dreams they have. I want
Yeah,
to know
yeah,
exactly. And there are techniques you do to do that. You start having a conversation, and then you start maybe advising, give advice about something, and you see their reaction if they like it or they don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come here with no ideas. This we
Hmm.
never had a wedding. Okay, no problem. Let's start. Let's start. In fact, I don't think there is. On the other hand, I know this is textbook sales, but in reality, there are no rules. You really have to adapt according to the couple that you have in front of you, and
Yeah.
everyone has this different vision. But you don't sell a wedding. You are here to give an experience,
Experience. Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
do that, you need to know, you need to understand your customers.
For sure. I'm happy, very happy that you're mentioning this because through Get Hitched, as you know, we have hundreds of suppliers, and we have thousands of users who have used the platform. And nearly 3 years that we've been operating. And this is the advice we give to both parties. Don't just make it about price. Price is obviously an important factor, but how can you understand the true value of a product or service if you're just basing it on a piece of paper, which is price? You need to understand, you need to have a conversation and back and forth Q&A, questions and answers, to understand the true value. Why should I choose A versus B? And just because A might be the very renowned and very good, it might not be for you. Like I always use this example with photographers or music. They are very subjective, right? You might be the best photographer in the world, but it doesn't mean that you are my style. You might be the best band, the most band with the most sales in the world, doesn't mean that I like you. So it's very subjective, and you really need to, the only way you can to understand this is by interacting and having a face-to-face or human kind of conversation with your supplier, who
That,
you
that
need
is
to
one
trust.
that is one thing I really like about Get Hitched, because Get Hitched generates leads, and that is just the seed in a plant. So after the lead, and when you are accepting to take the lead, then the relationship kicks off from there. And for
Yeah,
us, I mean, you don't sell a wedding or an event just on a website or by sending you. In fact, I I try very hard to refuse to just send you a PDF of our brochure without making an appointment to discuss it, because you can interpret our brochure in many ways, and that is what it's open for interpretation. And I wanted that because I want our customers to call us and discuss, because I mean, I have all the time for my clients. Sometimes I stay here even at late hours, because I want our customers to understand what we are offering. Same as you, when you sold me Get Hitched, and I was very skeptical about it, remember? And and you started calling, Madam V, called again, and emails. I was going to put Ben Vincenti on spam, so he would. But then, when we discussed, and sometimes I give him a really some hard time, wherever.
very
Uh,
powerful.
but then we created a relationship. I mean, today I meet him at a supermarket, and we have a small discussion, because we became, I mean, we have a friendship, friendship relationship, and
Definitely.
we're open. I mean, when there's time to criticize, I do, and he does back, and that's good relationship. I mean, it's two-sided, and it's a win-win situation, because we have, sometimes he comes here, we discuss, we don't always agree, and it's the same with every type of sale, especially when it comes to a service, because a service is very volatile. I mean, sometimes you experience a service and you don't even realize you experience that service. Just pauses in front of you and say, "Oh, wow." And a wedding, I mean, you are spending all that money on a one-day event. Imagine if you just,
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would like to point out. So Ben and Pawlu, they have a relationship built, even the way they speak and everything. But for our viewers to know, this is the first time that I have met Pawlu, and actually we're having a conversation. And just the way you speak and the belief you have in your product and how you focus on that it's the customer first. And this is not an off-the-shelf product. It's going to be tailor-made for each and different person for each different event. That builds a certain trust that a person has to see it face to face so they can understand and actually know what they're spending their money on. So, I mean, I'd like to applaud you on it, Pawlu, because it's very nice to see and nice
And,
to meet you.
and
Yeah.
I'm applauding Ben as well. No, and to be honest, I want to applaud my family because this is something that I inherited. This value, the traditional value, the core values, the value, these values, I've inherited them. We, as a brand, we as managers here, we inherited this from our nonno and our fathers. I mean, this is not
Yes.
something we just created. Look, I used to sit down and watch my uncle, for example, sell a wedding, and I used to love it. The way he explains it, the way he does it. I mean, I used to just sit down, and it's like watching a concert for me because the same
There's a
feeling.
certain level of respect between you all. I
Yes,
mean, it
yes.
is really beautiful to see. And in fact, I think it's not only us that see it, but
Yeah.
we do have a few comments here for you.
I was going to mention, like, there are some comments that we've been leaving there for some time,
Hello, Anna.
so we do apologize, but we got.
It's okay.
Caught up.
Yes, and Anna,
Um,
I see a lot of her shares, and sometimes she messages, and she's a regular, I think. Hello, Anna.
Very good. In fact, she said, first I want to say to Paul, I'm sorry for his loss of his uncle, and secondly, that I'm a regular client of Elia Cafeteria, and I want to say that they have the best sweets and pies and every item, and especially they have a good service and very friendly staff.
And we
So
have the
thank
best
you, Anna.
clients as well. We have the best clients.
Very good. We also have another comment from Ken Cremona. Our
I
wedding with
can.
Elia Caterers is in 12 months, 2 days. I'm so hyped.
Believe me, right now I am hyped to restart weddings because can I have a short moment to discuss the present situation. When you're in the catering business, I remember when I started, I was finishing my secondary school, and my mother wanted me to continue studying, and I said no, I want to become a cake decorator, so I'll just go straight to work. My father told me, listen, if I were you, I would continue your studies. In fact, I started university. I graduated 2 years ago, or a year ago, I think 2 years ago, something like that. I did everything at a later stage. My ITS studies, for example, I started them when I was 20. I wanted so much to start working. And my father, first thing he said, he told me, if you're going into catering, there's no weekends, there are no friends. Sahalia, that wasn't the case in my case. Okay.
It's true, because my brother went into catering, and it's the first thing that I remember him saying when he was 18. This I'm sacrificing feasts, weekends, Friday nights, and you need to find and continue living with then people that can understand that as well.
But between you and me, I still had a good life. I still enjoyed weekends when I had time to do it.
You really need to be for it
Yes,
with catering.
yes.
You really need to have a
Joke,
certain passion for it.
joking aside, yes. And I haven't had a summer in my life for ages because during summer, obviously, we have a lot of weddings. You go out to weddings. In the morning, we're here at the factory, at the bakery, or at the office, and then evenings we have weddings. So it's very difficult to have a moment, for example, with friends for barbecues and stuff, or at home. And now it's very ironic that I don't have weddings, and it's the first summer that I can
You're actually
enjoy the
enjoying.
heat fully. But I'm missing weddings so much. I'm missing weddings, the hype, because Ken used the word hype. The hype that a wedding gives you. I mean, I can compare it to a concert. I mean, I play. I'm a musician. I'm a singer, and when I'm on stage, you're hyped. But when the wedding is over and you're tired and sweaty, but someone comes to you and tells you, "Listen, what a wonderful cake! What a wonderful wedding!" For me, that does the trick, and I'm
Yes.
missing it. I'm missing it so much. I
It's
can't
your
wait.
routine. I mean, it's what you've been doing for years. So
Exactly. I can't
even
wait
though
to
you've
get
been
back.
given some time to slow down and maybe get back on your feet, even
Yeah,
organize,
yeah.
we've seen a lot of different suppliers doing a lot of different things, even us ourselves. I am
Talking
going.
And
about sorry, but just talking about coming back or going back, Paul. When are you going to do? Are there plans for a Fakawi return concert, which is on their own, like just a Fakawi concert, not in a festival work?
If I had to
It's
say
about
something
time, no?
about the band, is that we're the most relaxed band that ever existed on the island. So sometimes we have opportunities flying in front of us, and then something happens. Okay, let's do it. It's really, I can't tell you, but it's really, I mean, when the time comes, we'll probably do it. But yes, we should. To be honest, we should.
You
It,
should,
it,
for
it's
sure.
it's
I mean, it will be a blast for
it's
sure.
gonna
And
be.
maybe we can, you can make a hybrid, like you can make it a wedding party, wedding and Fakawi concert.
Your wedding, Bent. Yep.
Nah, that's not gonna
Deal.
happen anytime soon.
Deal. So listen, guys, we are going in 45 minutes as well. I am going to go quickly through the comments, and I'm going to try and go quickly through the other questions that we had prepared. We do have Rodania Abdullah. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It can't show all in the screen, so I'm going to read it. We were supposed to get married next week at your wedding venue with your delicious, extraordinary food, but now it's postponed. And a small tip: who's going to get their food tasting? Eat nothing for the full day, for the whole day.
That's
طيب.
true.
Thank you
Hi,
very
hi,
much.
Radanya. Thank you very much, Radanya. Yes, it's a sad situation, to be honest. I mean, the saddest part of all this COVID, I think I would split it into two. One of them is when there was the breakout. So the first days, couples coming to the offices, crying, everyone not knowing what is going to happen. Till now, I mean, we don't know. We're still going to have the August weddings, September weddings, I mean, June weddings. There's always this big question mark, and it's really difficult. I can understand the couples here, how frustrating this must be. I mean, I've seen couples crying, and it's not easy. I mean, it's really not easy. And I think the second thing that it's really frustrating is that this situation created a little bit of a brick wall between us and the clients, because there were a lot of rumors going around about the deposits, about the prices, if they
Yes,
had to play, and some comments, I must say, that were very unfair, not from clients, because I understand the clients, but some, I don't know if I should use the word professionals. I mean, they really put holes in our trust. Not just us. I'm mentioning the whole industry. It's a goodwill that we as suppliers have worked on for years, and sometimes people before talking need to be a little bit more sensitive about this. I can understand everyone, and I can understand the situation, not just me, it's everyone, and this is nobody's fault, but please be sensitive before firing blanket statements,
yes,
because you are damaging not just the industry, you are damaging the goodwill that, I mean, Rodania, sorry, just texted me. She's a client. I mean, we already have this relationship, so we can't wait to cater for her wedding. I mean, believe me. And I mean, that's one of the saddest part. I mean, that you work hard and you want people to have a good experience, and then someone tarnishes the industry. And this is not just for caterers, it's for everyone. And
everyone.
that, I think, is unfair. I mean, yes, there's we should discuss terms. Yes, why? I mean, this is a business after all, and people discuss terms. Yes, but we really have to be sensitive for both parties, because
Agreed.
even the
Um,
couples have
so
their
I'm happy that you're mentioning this because something this is like kind of off the record, if you can quote off the record, although we're live. But this is how I really believe it, and we discussed this at Get Hitched. Do if there is someone who is going to, let's say, I need to get my deposit back for whatever reason. And I'm sure you're talking about much more than deposits, but let's say about the deposits because I've seen a lot of um, flack on this. But if there's someone who wants a deposit back, don't you think that rejecting that deposit, that amount of money, is actually going to be much more expensive in the long term, because this person, one, is never going to work with you again, and two, is going to badmouth the shit out of you, excuse the French, with whoever they know. So the value, the equity that is lost across the border, that is huge. So it pays you as a supplier to give that deposit money back. Yes, it sucks, and yes, you have your forecast, and yes, you, like, sometimes you cannot, but it pays you to do so, to retain that relationship with the client.
I think
Um, uh,
you just opened a can of worms.
yes,
And I think
definitely.
you really have to go through this case by case, Ben,
Yeah,
because it's very easy to see things the way you are seeing them, but you
yeah,
also have to understand that there's also many different things you need to see.
sure, sure.
I mean,
But I'm
ye-
talking purely from a relationship.
yes,
Fam,
but let me give you an example for a small business. For example, if this person if there's a business who's going to fork out all the deposits and all the cancellations, he's going to put his business at
sure,
risk. Doing so may also put his business at risk vis-a-vis the service he needs to offer to his other clients. If his business
Exactly.
is thrown out of business because obviously liquidity problems, he cannot service the other clients. And I mean, you have a responsibility. A deposit is a two-way contract. Okay, so if I have other contracts, I'm also binding myself to offer service to other clients. If I put my business at risk, I am also damaging the relationship with other clients. So
sure.
I think this needs to have
Guys,
bigger discussion than
yes, in
in this few
fact,
minutes that we have.
we
But
are running already over
uh,
50 minutes in,
I,
guys.
I
There's
told you would do
five more questions that we need to go through that we promised
I can.
that would be answered. But definitely, I would recommend that we do create an episode, Ben, where we talk solely about deposits, customer support, and for people to understand what the supplier is going through and what
Sure.
the person that is planning the wedding or the event going
Perfect.
through.
That's the idea. I mean, right now, if I had to give a little piece of advice, and I will be very short, don't worry, is that people need to understand both situations,
Definitely.
Yes,
both situations, and that's
Definitely.
most important. There are
Definitely.
very
cases
good.
and cases. There are different cases.
Exactly, exactly. I'm going to put on another comment that we have from Jonathan. Again, it's long, so I need to read it out. There are two main reasons we wanted Elia on Get Hitched. So, Jonathan, for everyone to know, is the co founder together with Ben. The first is, of course, the quality of the product and the service you offer. The other is, even though we have the best suppliers on the platform, multiple times we were told by people using the platform that our suppliers list is amazing, but it's not complete unless we have Aliyah on board. This
Wow.
is a testament to the business that you have built, and this is a true story. And this
Yeah.
will probably answer why Ben kept on sending those emails and those doing those calls.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm blushing. Thank you.
That's true, though. I
Yes.
Thank
still have
you.
the conversation, Paul, where we this one I remember, which is the back of my head, where there's a person who specifically asked for Elia Caterers. We still have it in our messenger inbox. So, and there were multiple more than those, but you always remember your first time, right? So, yeah, it's true. It's not complete without having Elia.
Some first times I better forget them as well.
Yeah.
So we have another comment here from Anna. Thanks, Pawlu. We have Yanis Azzopardi, who says hi also. Hi, Yanis. And we have
Janet is one of
Antonella.
my best friends.
Very cool. Thank you. And Antonella Grek here said, we are going to get married next year. And from the food tasting session of Elia Cater, we had no doubt about our catering of our wedding. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you,
Thank you,
Antonella.
Antonella.
I am going to put up the next question. If possible, we could keep it a bit short so we can manage to go through all the questions, guys.
مش torta Ben.
Apologies.
One of our
Wait,
questions, this we did it already. We have this one. What is your concept, whether it's traditional or modern cuisine?
Okay, so I'll keep it short. I think it's a mixture of both. I'm a Bob Marley fan, okay, as Ben knows. If you don't know your past, you don't know your future, Bob Marley says. And I think what we did at Elia Unlimited, both as in the coffee shop and also in the catering sector, is we kept our tradition and value very strong. We saw what should be adapted and brought. We brought that product to a contemporary way. Some things were untouched, like for example, our ice cream. You cannot do anything about it. I mean, it's the way my nano did it. And today we have people who are 12-year-olds and still want our ice cream or our granita or our timpana or whatever. But we also have invested a lot in research and in our chefs. And today we have a very contemporary menu. And I think we can't we can't be shy of our traditions, even as Maltese people. I mean, the Maltese wedding, just to discuss wedding, is something that is unique. We have beautiful weddings. I mean, Italian weddings are different. They're nice, but they're not Maltese weddings. So
Very
why
true.
trash your tradition to replace it with something that is you find it everywhere. So I think the best solution is to bring everything together and make it contemporary and
Yes.
make it a today product. So
Yes.
that's what we did.
And I think I would agree with you there. I think a Maltese wedding is quite unique in its own way of the event. It's completely different to a wedding in Italy. Even as we were told on a show previous, even to weddings in Gozo.
Yes, yes.
I am going to put up the next question. This one, I know it was a bit of an interesting one for you, Paul. So, Elia Caterers is a family business, but we wanted to ask you if it is harder to work with family members rather than with hired
I'll see you
staff.
tomorrow. Thank you for. so, let's
Are they all watching?
yeah, I think so. I'll get best for this. No, I think a family business has its challenges, but when you see, I mean, we had an argument yesterday, for example. But the thing is, I mean, what we did as a company when there was a succession planning from second to third generation, we introduced people that are outside of the family in the management, top level. I mean, today I answer to my KPIs. I have a person who I have to answer to. I punch in and I punch out. I have discipline. I have a charter to follow. I have my responsibilities. And I cannot fail because I am here not because I am Pawlu Borg Bonaci. I am here because of the job and because I have my targets and I have to to keep these targets, these KPIs. I think there are disadvantages in being a family business. Yes, there are. But I think when you find the right solution, the right way how to tackle, I mean, first of all, one of the first things, put aside your family and personal issues. Those are not the business, they stay outside. You lock the key, throw away the key, you discuss those outside the business. Inside, in this boardroom, we discuss business. Here, we discuss profit and loss, we discuss clients, we discuss mistakes, and we discuss results. I think we're lucky to be one of the few third generation businesses to have survived so far, and the future till now, because the COVID situation is changing everything, but the future looks bright. I mean, we fought these challenges, we overcame these challenges. Um, if I'd prefer to work with outsiders or family members, I can just say this: apart from catering, I do other things like productions and I do artistic direction of orchestra. I was in different shows and stuff like that. Both scenarios offer different challenges. I think it's not about a family or not. It's about attitude. So I've seen businesses that were not family businesses and they simply collapsed. And is why either they were unlucky or the attitude was totally wrong. When you set yourself to have a good attitude for business, I think that is the key for success. I mean, I've experienced both and I can work with both. It doesn't make a difference. As long as the people you are working with have the same vision, then
The
it's okay.
positive attitude.
That's okay. The good thing
Very
about
good.
being a family business, on the other hand, is that a family business, you are closer, you can understand more your customers. Our customers are people who are going to build a family. If I'm discussing catering, weddings, and I can understand if they find it difficult, for example, to make a payment in time. I mean, I'm not that rigid. Why? Because we are a family. We know the challenges that a family has. Um, uh, we understand that the sum of money they're going to pay is a big sum. We all have houses, we all have families, so with this philosophy, we can understand our clients and get closer to our clients.
Very good. Thank you very much, Paul. I am going to skip one of the questions because I do know you answered it beforehand for everyone. And I am going to go into this question for you with regards to local and foreign weddings. If you could tell us as to their catering requests, are they similar or are they different between them?
They're very different, but it depends on. We all know how local weddings are, and as you mentioned, even Gozitan weddings are slightly different. I mean, they're more seated, for example. The Gozitans, they're more relaxed. It depends. I mean, I had weddings that, I mean, not even a white party could even get close to that. It depends on the client at the end of the day. But foreign weddings, obviously, are different. But sometimes the foreign clients also want that Maltese traditional touch. So that also depends on which country you are. The Irish are different than the British, for example, and their weddings are different. Most of them are seated dinners. I think it's about 80%, if not more, even 90% of the foreign weddings. They're seated. They want dinner.
Yes.
They're very particular, and you have to respect their traditions. I mean, if you have a Polish wedding, I mean, they're full of traditions, and you have to really cater for their traditions. You know when you have to put the vodka on the table. You know what kind of butter you want to serve. If it's an Irish wedding, that's totally different. I mean, even the type of drinks you are going to serve and everything.
What are the main difference that you think you would be able to mention between Maltese and foreign in general?
Um, uh, I think one is the number, obviously, because Maltese people tend to have big numbers. I mean, the bigger, the better.
The
That's
family and cucini and
that's
the terza cucina.
I think the foreign wedding, I mean, you need to understand the reasoning behind why they decided to come to Malta. So they're here to enjoy the sunsets. They're here to enjoy the beach, the views, what makes Malta Malta after all. So they're here after the Maltese experience, and sometimes they value the Maltese experience more than we value the Maltese culture and experience. They're here for the culture. So that they wouldn't have chosen Malta if not for that. I mean, it's not about the price. It's not about doing something different because they like Malta and
Yes.
they want to have the Maltese experience. The difference is also the layout and also the way the wedding proceeds. There are the speeches that in most cases in Maltese weddings, been introduced quite lately. I mean, to have speeches during wedding. It's the type of food. In Maltese traditional weddings, we have finger food most of the time, or
Yes.
stations. But with foreign weddings, we have plated most of the time, or part
A la
plated with
carte.
buffets. So even the service is different. You have the waiters serving on tables rather than a cocktail, and also some of the particular things that some foreign weddings would like to have. I mean, the setups, being the team, and everything. But yes, they're different.
I think we
Totally.
should have Paul over on more episodes. One to discuss about this of the deposits, and now another we can specifically discuss the differences on local and foreign weddings and and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Um,
to close, so it's been a great show. We're I don't know the time, but it's over an hour and 10 minutes, I would say. It is the longest episode we've ever had. So what I would like to maybe close with is kind of what
Close with or COVID, you said.
close. لا لا به هنعيدو هيك. What kind of advice would you give to couples, to your clients in general, if it's a corporate? How would you kind of sum up your advice and moving forward?
I think the most important thing is to create communication, a relationship between all the suppliers and trust. If there is no trust, it's going to be a failure. I mean, both parties have to trust each other, they have to understand each other, and they have to learn all the do's and don'ts. I mean, I cannot promise something to a client that I cannot give, I cannot honor. So trust is key. And if you are building a relationship and if you are communicating, one can understand what the other party can, needs, or wants. I mean, if you build this communication channel, if the communication is strong, then everything will flow. And I think in any case, communication is always the key.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Albert, I'll leave it to you.
Thank you very much. We did have one more question to put on, but I mean we're really short on time. I don't know, Ben. Should we go forward with it or?
I don't know if I'm seeing it. I don't know if it's in your watch party because I think there's Antonella. There are for question. You mean our questions?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I would like to know. I think it is an important question for for us and for the viewers. Like, what is the vision of Elia moving forward? Yeah, I think it's a valid question.
Okay, I think right now it's adapting with the situation. We don't know how long the situation is going to be. In fact, we also started deliveries at our coffee shop and more online shopping. I think we're going to be more digital. We're in the digital age, and obviously I mean, it's not even a choice. I don't see much difference. I only see an improvement. When you have something that works, don't change it. I mean, but you can improve on it. I still have a vision, a personal vision. We still, as a company, have another vision, not another vision. We still have a vision. There are things we still want to reach. What I promise myself and we promise as a brand is that we are struggling and we are fighting to reach all the goals that we have laid in front of us. And when we reach them, we will lay more goals. We'll place more goals in front of us, and hopefully we'll fight together. And yeah, building more
Culture.
relationship and building more having more clients. That is what we want.
Cool.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Paul. So, I mean, we've gone through all the questions, and thank you very much for that. We managed. I will put on the last comment we have from Alexander Bransby, who said, very informative. Well done to Pawlu at Elia Caterers and everyone else involved.
Thank you. Thank
Which I
you.
can also say, I mean, it has been a very informative show. Thank you very much for all the information, and even just showing and explaining the level of quality and how much you do go into detail for every different product that you are offering for everyone. I don't know if you have any final words, Paul, for our viewers.
No, stay safe, stay at home, and we will be together soon. Soon, very
Super.
soon. So
Yes.
yes, just
Super.
be patient. Be patient.
طيب.
And
And you,
Ben,
Ben.
Ben, no more
Ewa?
chocolate for you.
شنو?
No more chocolate for you.
Yeah. No, no. I mean, all I want to say is thank you to Paul. As usual, it's always an interesting conversation. Thank you for the insight and thank you for being candid and always being yourself. That's another big thing I respect about you, Paul. Paulo. Thank you for Alberta for the show and thank you for the viewers. It's been high views all the time. That's why I've been looking down, by the way, guys, because I'm looking at the views. So yeah, thank you for all the comments. Thank you for tuning in, and until the next one.
And good luck.
Amazing.
Good luck, and thank you, Get Hitched. Thank you for your
Thank you.
service. It's an amazing
Super.
service.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Last comment, quickly, from Jonathan Murchie. Well done. It was very interesting and enjoyable. Again on the watch
Thank
party.
you. Thank you,
But
Jonathan.
yes, it was a pleasure. I am going to remove you guys from the stream now. So ciao, bye. Thank you. There you have it, guys. Pawlu Borg Bonaci from Elia Caterers. It's been an amazing show. Apologies that we ran longer than normally promised, between 30 to 40 minutes. But I really do hope you guys have enjoyed it and found information about Elia Caterers. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao, ciao.